The morning sun was shining bright as Maya and her twin brother Alex stepped out of their mom's car at the Riverside Tennis Club. The building looked huge compared to the small community center back home where they used to play. Everything here seemed fancy, from the perfectly cut grass to the brand new courts with bright white lines. Maya carried her old tennis bag over her shoulder while Alex held his worn-out racket. They had been playing tennis for 10 years, ever since they were 6 years old. Their dad taught them everything he knew about the game at their local park courts. Now at 16, they were pretty good, but they never talked about it much. Their family had moved to this new town 3 months ago when their dad got a better job. The twins were excited, but also nervous about joining such a well-known tennis club. Everyone at school talked about how only the best players could afford to train here. As they walked toward the main building, Maya noticed other kids their age warming up on different courts. Most of them had expensive tennis clothes and shiny new equipment. Some had personal coaches giving them private lessons. "This place is definitely different from home," Alex whispered to his sister as they looked around. Maya nodded. Back in Detroit, they played with kids from all different backgrounds. Here, everyone seemed to come from rich families, but their mom always told them that hard work mattered more than fancy things. The twins found the main office where they were supposed to check in for their first day. The lady at the front desk was friendly and gave them their schedules. They were both placed in the intermediate group, which would start training in 30 minutes. While waiting, they sat on a bench and watched other players practice. That's when they first saw them, two teenagers who seemed to be the center of attention on the main court. The boy had perfectly styled hair and wore expensive tennis clothes with famous brand logos. The girl looked just like him, probably his sister, and she moved around the court like she owned the place. Other kids gathered around them, laughing at their jokes and listening to their stories. It was clear these two were popular and important at the club. "I wonder if they're good players or just rich kids," Maya said quietly. Alex shrugged. "We'll find out soon enough." A few minutes later, their coach called all the intermediate players to gather at court number 3. The coach looked professional and seemed to know what she was doing. She introduced herself as Coach Lisa and explained that they would start with some basic exercises to see everyone's skill level. "We have 2 new members joining us today," Coach Lisa announced, pointing toward Maya and Alex. "Please make them feel welcome." The twins waved politely, but they noticed some of the other players just stared at them without smiling. The popular boy and girl from earlier were also in their group, and they looked the twins up and down with curious expressions. Coach Lisa started the practice with simple warm-up exercises. Everyone had to jog around the court, then do some stretching. Maya and Alex followed along, trying to blend in with the group. Next came the fun part, hitting tennis balls. Coach Lisa paired everyone up for basic rally practice. She looked at her clipboard and made the assignments. "Blake, you'll work with Maya," she said, pointing to the popular girl they had noticed earlier. "And Jessica, you can partner with Alex." Blake walked over to Maya with a fake smile. She was tall and had long blonde hair tied in a perfect ponytail. Everything about her screamed expensive, from her diamond earrings to her custom tennis shoes. "So you're new here," Blake said, looking Maya up and down. "Where did you play before?" "At the community center back in Detroit," Maya replied honestly. Blake raised her eyebrows. "Community center? Oh wow, that's interesting. I've been training here since I was 8. My family basically built this place." Meanwhile, Alex was paired with Blake's brother, who introduced himself as Connor. He had the same attitude as his sister, confident and a little bit snobbish. "Nice racket," Connor said sarcastically, looking at Alex's old equipment. "Is that from this century?" Alex felt his cheeks get warm, but he stayed calm. "It works fine for me." Connor laughed. "Sure it does. Well, try to keep up, okay? I don't want to waste my practice time." The twins started hitting balls with their new partners. Right away, Blake and Connor began showing off, hitting powerful shots and making difficult moves look easy. They were clearly skilled players who had received expensive training for years, but Maya and Alex were not impressed. They had seen good players before. More importantly, they knew how to handle pressure and stay focused on their own game. During the rally, Blake kept hitting balls harder and harder, trying to make Maya run around the court. She expected the new girl to struggle and make mistakes, but Maya moved smoothly, returning every shot with good technique and control. "Lucky shots," Blake muttered when Maya hit a perfect cross-court winner. On the other court, Connor was doing the same thing to Alex. He hit tricky shots and tried to confuse him with spin and angles, but Alex read every ball perfectly and sent it back exactly where he wanted it to go. After 20 minutes of rally practice, Coach Lisa called everyone together. She had been watching carefully and taking notes. "Good work, everyone. I can see we have some talented players in this group," she said, looking around at all the students. "Tomorrow we'll start working on more advanced techniques." As they packed up their equipment, Blake and Connor whispered to their friends. Maya and Alex could hear some of what they were saying. "I don't know why they let just anyone join now," Blake said quietly. "This used to be a place for serious players only." "Yeah, and did you see their old equipment?" Connor added. "They probably can't even afford proper lessons." Some of the other kids giggled, but a few looked uncomfortable with the mean comments. Maya and Alex pretended not to hear, but they felt angry inside. They had dealt with this kind of attitude before. Some people always judged others based on their clothes or equipment instead of their actual abilities. As they walked back to meet their mom in the parking lot, the twins talked about their first day. "They think we're beginners," Maya said. "Let them think that," Alex replied. "We'll show them what we can really do when the time is right." Their mom was waiting in the car with a big smile. "How was your first day, kids?" "Interesting," Maya said. "The other players are different from what we're used to." "Give them time," their mom said wisely. "Sometimes people need a chance to get to know you before they understand who you really are." That evening at dinner, their dad asked about the tennis club. The twins told him about Blake and Connor and how they acted superior to everyone else. "You know what I always taught you," their dad said. "Let your game do the talking. Words are cheap, but skill is real." Their dad had been a good tennis player in college before he became an engineer. He spent countless hours teaching his children everything he knew about the sport. The twins learned not just how to hit the ball, but how to think strategically and stay mentally strong during tough matches. Over the next few days, Maya and Alex continued attending practice at the club. Blake and Connor kept making little comments and jokes about their equipment and background. They seemed to enjoy having someone to look down on. During one practice session, Connor accidentally knocked over Alex's water bottle, spilling it all over his tennis bag. When Alex picked it up, Connor just shrugged and said, "Oops, sorry about that." Another time, Blake told the other girls that Maya probably learned tennis from watching videos online instead of taking real lessons. The girls laughed, but Maya just focused on her practice. The twins noticed that Blake and Connor had their own group of followers who always agreed with everything they said. These kids came from similar wealthy families and had been playing at the club for years. They seemed afraid to disagree with Blake and Connor about anything. But Maya and Alex also noticed something else. When they thought no one was watching, some of the other players looked impressed by their tennis skills. During practice rallies, the twins consistently made good shots and rarely made mistakes. Coach Lisa was definitely paying attention. She often stopped to watch when Maya and Alex were playing, and she nodded approvingly at their technique. One afternoon after practice, she pulled them aside. "You two have very solid fundamentals," she said. "Where did you train before coming here?" "Our dad taught us," Alex explained. "We practiced every day at the public courts near our house." Coach Lisa looked surprised. "Your father must be a very good teacher. Your form is excellent, and you both have great court awareness." The twins thanked her, but they didn't mention the tournaments they had won back home or the trophies sitting in boxes in their new bedroom. They wanted to fit in first before revealing how competitive they really were. As weeks passed, Blake and Connor became bolder with their comments. They started telling other club members that the twins were charity cases who didn't belong at such a prestigious place. They made jokes about lowering standards and wondered aloud if the club was becoming too easy to join. But the twins kept their cool. They arrived early for every practice, stayed late to work on their skills, and treated everyone with respect. Slowly, some of the other players began to warm up to them. A girl named Riley started talking to Maya during water breaks. A boy named Kevin began including Alex in conversations about professional tennis matches they watched on TV. However, Blake and Connor didn't like seeing their influence weaken. They decided it was time to put the twins in their place once and for all. The next Monday morning started like any other day at the tennis club, but Blake and Connor had been planning something over the weekend. They arrived early and were whispering with their group of friends near the main court when Maya and Alex walked in. "Oh, look, here come our special guests," Blake said loud enough for everyone to hear. "I hope you brought your good luck charms today because you're going to need them." Connor laughed and high-fived his sister. "Yeah, we've been thinking it's time to see what you two can really do. No more easy practice games." Maya and Alex exchanged glances but didn't respond. They had learned that arguing with Blake and Connor only made things worse. Instead, they quietly went to their usual spot and started getting ready for practice. But Blake wasn't done yet. She walked over to where Maya was stretching and stood right in front of her. "You know what I heard?" Blake said, pretending to whisper, but speaking loud enough for others to hear. "I heard that some tennis clubs are so desperate for new members that they'll take anyone. Even people who learned to play in parking lots." Several kids started giggling and Maya felt her face get hot with anger. But she remembered what her dad always said about staying calm under pressure. She looked up at Blake with steady eyes. "Is that so?" Maya said quietly. "Well, I guess we'll see how desperate they really are." Blake seemed surprised that Maya didn't get upset or start arguing. She was used to people either backing down or getting angry, which would make her feel more powerful. Coach Lisa arrived and called everyone to start practice. Today's session was going to be different. Instead of just hitting balls back and forth, they would play actual points and keep score. "I want to see how you all handle pressure," Coach Lisa explained. "We'll rotate partners every 15 minutes, and I'll be watching your decision-making during real game situations." The first rotation paired Maya with a quiet boy named Tyler, who had always been nice to her. They played against Blake and her usual partner, a girl named Sophia who followed Blake around like a shadow. As soon as the points started, Blake began playing more aggressively than usual. She hit every ball as hard as she could, trying to overwhelm Maya with power. But Maya had faced hard hitters before. She stayed calm, moved her feet well, and waited for the right moment to attack. When Blake hit a ball too hard and it went slightly high, Maya stepped forward and hit a perfect winner down the line. The ball landed right on the edge of the court, and Blake couldn't even move toward it. "Lucky shot," Blake muttered, but Coach Lisa had been watching and nodded approvingly. Over the next 10 minutes, Maya continued to play smart tennis. She didn't try to hit winners on every ball. Instead, she was patient, consistent, and struck when the opportunity was right. Tyler was amazed at how easy it was to play with her as a partner. Meanwhile, Alex was playing with Riley against Connor and his partner, Kevin. Connor was doing the same thing as his sister, trying to overpower everyone with big shots. But Alex had a different style than Maya. While his sister was smooth and strategic, Alex was more athletic and creative. He could run down balls that seemed impossible to reach, and he had an amazing ability to turn defense into attack. When Connor hit what he thought was a winning shot to the corner, Alex somehow got there and flicked the ball back with perfect timing. The ball sailed over Connor's head and landed just inside the baseline for a clean winner. "Show off," Connor said, but Alex could tell he was actually impressed. As the rotations continued, more players got to see what the twins could really do. Maya's consistent baseline game frustrated opponents who expected her to make mistakes. Alex's speed and court coverage surprised everyone who thought he was just a beginner. But the most interesting thing was how they played differently against different opponents. Against weaker players, they were patient and didn't show off. Against stronger players like Blake and Connor, they raised their level just enough to compete without revealing everything they could do. Coach Lisa was taking lots of notes. After practice, she asked the twins to stay behind for a few minutes. "I've been coaching for 15 years, she said, "and I can tell when players have had serious training. You two didn't learn tennis at a community center, did you?" Maya and Alex looked at each other. They had been hoping to keep their background quiet for a while longer, but Coach Lisa was too experienced to fool. We did play at a community center, Alex said carefully. But we also played in some tournaments back home. What kind of tournaments? Coach Lisa asked. Just local ones, Maya said. Nothing too serious. Coach Lisa smiled. Local tournaments. Don't teach you to hit winners under pressure like you did today. But don't worry. I won't push you to tell me more than you want to. Just know that when you're ready to show what you can really do, I'll be here to help. As the twins walked toward the parking lot, they noticed Blake and Connor talking intensely with their friends near the snack bar. The conversation stopped when they saw Maya and Alex approaching. Having a nice chat with Coach Lisa? Connor asked in a sarcastic tone. Getting some extra tips for beginners? Something like that. Alex replied calmly. Blake stepped forward with a mean smile. You know, Connor and I have been talking. We think it's time this club had some real competition, not just easy practice games where everyone gets a participation trophy. What do you mean? Maya asked, though she had a feeling she knew where this was going. I mean a real challenge, Blake said. You two against us two. Winner takes all. Winner takes what exactly? Alex asked. Connor grinned. Winner gets respect. Loser admits they don't belong here and finds somewhere else to play. The twins looked at each other. This was exactly what Blake and Connor wanted, to humiliate them in front of everyone and force them to leave the club. When? Maya asked simply. Blake seemed surprised that they agreed so quickly. She had expected them to make excuses or back down. Next Friday, she said, during the club's monthly showcase. All the parents and members will be watching. Deal, Alex said, shaking Connor's hand. As they walked away, Maya whispered to her brother, Are you sure about this? Absolutely, Alex whispered back. It's time they learned not to judge people by their equipment. That week, Blake and Connor made sure everyone at the club knew about the upcoming matches. They told their friends, their parents, and even some of the adult members. They wanted as many people as possible to watch them put the twins in their place. This is going to be so embarrassing for them, Blake told Sophia during lunch. I almost feel bad about it. Almost. Connor was equally confident. My dad says he's bringing some of his business partners to watch. They'll see how we handle troublemakers at this club. But while Blake and Connor were busy bragging, Maya and Alex were quietly preparing. They stayed after regular practice to work on specific parts of their game. They practiced serves, returns, and net play. They worked on strategy and discussed how to handle different situations. Their parents noticed they were spending extra time at the courts. Everything okay at the club? Their mom asked one evening. Just working on some things, Maya said. We have a match coming up. Their dad looked up from his newspaper. What kind of match? Alex explained about the challenge from Blake and Connor. Their parents listened carefully, and their dad asked several questions about the other players' skill level. Sounds like they're used to being the big fish in a small pond. Their dad said finally, Just remember what I taught you about playing your own game. Don't try to be someone you're not. The twins nodded. They had learned many lessons from their father over the years, but the most important one was to stay true to their own style of play. As Friday approached, the atmosphere at the club became tense. Some players were excited to see the matches, while others felt uncomfortable about the whole situation. Coach Lisa tried to keep everyone focused on regular practice, but it was clear that everyone was thinking about the upcoming showdown. Riley pulled Maya aside on Thursday afternoon. Are you nervous about tomorrow? She asked. Maya thought for a moment. A little, but not for the reason you might think. What do you mean? I'm not nervous about losing, Maya said. I'm nervous about what happens after we win. Riley looked confused. After you win? Do you really think you can beat Blake and Connor? Maya smiled mysteriously. I guess we'll find out tomorrow. Meanwhile, Blake and Connor were getting more confident by the day. They had scheduled extra practice sessions with their private coaches. They bought new tennis outfits for the matches. They even had their parents invite friends to come watch their victory. This is going to be the easiest win of our lives, Connor told his father. These kids have no idea what real tennis looks like. Their father nodded approvingly. Good. It's important to establish dominance early. Can't have just anyone thinking they belong here. But there was something Blake and Connor didn't know. That Thursday evening, Coach Lisa was reviewing tournament records from Detroit area junior tennis events. She had been curious about the twins' background and decided to do some research. What she found made her eyes widen with surprise. Maya and Alex weren't just casual players who had entered a few local tournaments. They were former junior champions who had won multiple regional titles. Their names appeared in newspaper articles and tournament reports as rising stars in Michigan junior tennis. Coach Lisa sat back in her chair and shook her head. Tomorrow's matches were going to be very different from what Blake and Connor expected. Friday morning arrived with perfect weather for tennis. The sun was shining, there was a gentle breeze, and the courts at Riverside Tennis Club looked amazing. But Maya and Alex felt butterflies in their stomachs as they got ready for school. Today was going to change everything. You two seem quiet this morning, their mom said over breakfast. Are you having second thoughts about the matches? No second thoughts, Maya said, taking a sip of orange juice. We're just thinking about what comes after. Their dad looked up from his coffee. What do you mean? Alex explained. Once we play, today, everyone will know we're not beginners. Things are going to be different at the club. Their parents exchanged glances. They had been hoping their children could have a normal transition to their new school and activities. But they also knew that Maya and Alex had worked too hard to let bullies push them around. Just be yourselves, their mom said. That's all we've ever asked from you. At school that day, word had somehow spread about the tennis matches. Students, who didn't even play tennis, were talking about the showdown at the club. Blake and Connor had made sure everyone knew they were going to teach the new kids a lesson. During lunch, Blake sat at her usual table surrounded by friends from the tennis club. She was practically glowing with confidence. I can't wait for everyone to see what real tennis looks like, she said, loud enough for other tables to hear. Some people think they can just show up anywhere and fit in. Today they'll learn the truth. At another table, Maya and Alex ate quietly with Riley and Tyler, who had become their friends over the past few weeks. Are you guys really sure about this? Riley asked nervously. Blake and Connor have been playing here for years. They know all the tricks. We'll be fine, Alex said calmly. Trust us. Tyler leaned forward and whispered. I've been watching you two practice. You're better than you let on, aren't you? Maya smiled but didn't answer directly. I guess everyone will find out today. The afternoon classes seemed to drag on forever. Both twins had trouble concentrating on their lessons. Their minds kept drifting to the matches and everything that would happen afterward. Finally, the school day ended, and it was time to head to the club. Their parents had taken time off work to watch the matches. Other parents and club members were also planning to attend the monthly showcase. When Maya and Alex arrived at the club, they could see that word had really gotten around. The parking lot was fuller than usual, and there were more adults walking around than they had ever seen on a regular Friday. Coach Lisa met them at the entrance with a serious expression on her face. I need to talk to you two privately before the matches, she said, leading them to a quiet corner of the club lounge. The twins followed her, wondering what she wanted to discuss. I did some research yesterday, Coach Lisa said, looking directly at them. I know who you really are. Maya and Alex felt their hearts skip a beat. They had been hoping to keep their background secret a little longer. You're Maya and Alex Williams from Detroit, regional junior champions, multiple tournament winners, rising stars who were featured in Michigan Tennis Magazine last year. The twins looked at each other, realizing there was no point in hiding anymore. We weren't trying to lie, Maya said quietly. We just wanted to fit in first. And we wanted to see what kind of people we were dealing with, Alex added. Coach Lisa nodded understandingly. I get it, but Blake and Connor have no idea what they've gotten themselves into. Are you planning to go easy on them? We were, Maya admitted. But after everything they've said and done, we think it's time they learned a lesson. Just remember, Coach Lisa said, this is still about sportsmanship. Win with class. As they walked toward the courts, the twins could see a crowd gathering. Parents, club members, and junior players were all finding spots to watch. Blake and Connor were already warming up on the main court, looking confident and relaxed. Blake's parents were sitting in the front row, along with Connor's father and several other important-looking adults. They were laughing and chatting, clearly expecting an easy victory for their children. "There they are," Blake called out when she saw Maya and Alex approaching. "Ready for your tennis lesson?" Connor bounced a ball on his racket and grinned. "Hope you brought your cameras. You'll want to remember the day you learned what real tennis looks like." The crowd laughed and Maya felt her competitive spirit start to wake up. She had been holding back for weeks, playing carefully and trying not to stand out. But now it was time to show everyone what she and Alex could really do. Coach Lisa called everyone together and explained the format. Maya would play Blake in a singles match, and Alex would play Connor in another singles match. Each match would be best of 3 sets, and they would play simultaneously on adjacent courts. "Let's keep this competitive but respectful," Coach Lisa announced to the crowd. "These young people represent the future of tennis at our club." Blake's mother leaned over to another parent and whispered, "This won't take long. Blake has been playing here since she was 8. The twins went to their respective courts and began their final warm-up. As they hit practice serves and ground strokes, some people in the crowd started to notice something different. "That girl has really smooth technique," one parent said, watching Maya's warm-up shots. "The boy moves well too," another observer noted, watching Alex practice his returns. But Blake and Connor were too focused on showing off to pay attention to their opponent's warm-up. They were hitting flashy shots and making loud comments to entertain their supporters. Finally, it was time to start. Maya and Blake took their positions on court 1, while Alex and Connor got ready on court 2. The crowd grew quiet as Coach Lisa called for the matches to begin. Blake served first in her match against Maya. She had a strong serve and usually used it to intimidate opponents right from the start. Her first serve came in hard and fast, exactly where she wanted it. But Maya was ready. She had been studying Blake's serve for weeks and knew exactly what to expect. She stepped into the court and hit a clean return winner down the line that Blake couldn't even touch. The crowd made a surprise sound and Blake's confident smile disappeared for a moment. "Lucky shot," Blake muttered, but she seemed less sure of herself. On the next court, Connor was serving to Alex. He tried the same power strategy as his sister, hitting his hardest serve right at Alex's body. But Alex moved smoothly out of the way and returned the ball with perfect timing and placement. Connor had to run hard just to reach it, and his reply went into the net. By the third game, it was becoming clear to everyone watching that something unexpected was happening. Maya was not just returning Blake's shots, she was controlling the points. Her footwork was perfect, her timing was excellent, and she seemed to know exactly where to place every ball. Alex was doing the same thing to Connor. Every time Connor tried to overpower him, Alex would absorb the pace and redirect it with interest. His court coverage was amazing, and he was making shots that seemed impossible. Blake's parents were no longer chatting and laughing. They were watching intently, trying to figure out how their daughter was losing points to someone they thought was a beginner. "What's happening out there?" Blake's mother asked her husband. "I don't know," he replied, looking confused. Blake should be winning easily. By the end of the first set, both Blake and Connor were in trouble. Maya had won 6-2, and Alex had taken his set 6-1. The twins were playing with a level of skill and composure that shocked everyone in attendance. During the break between sets, Blake and Connor met at the sideline, both looking frustrated and confused. "They're better than we thought," Connor said, wiping sweat from his forehead. "Way better." "It doesn't matter," Blake replied, though she didn't sound as confident as before. "We just need to focus and play our game." But that was exactly the problem. Blake and Connor had been playing their game, the same power tennis that usually overwhelmed their opponents at the club. It just wasn't working against Maya and Alex. The twins, meanwhile, were calm and focused during their break. They drank some water, adjusted their strings, and quietly discussed strategy. "They're getting frustrated," Maya observed. "Blake is starting to go for too much on her shots." "Connor, too," Alex agreed. He's trying to hit winners from impossible positions. As the second set began, the crowd had grown even larger. Word had spread throughout the club that something special was happening on the main courts. Even some of the adult members had stopped their own games to watch. The second set was even more dominant for the twins. Now that they had their opponents figured out, Maya and Alex began to showcase the full range of their abilities. Maya hit winners from both sides, served with precision and power, and moved Blake around the court like a chess master. Alex displayed incredible athleticism, chasing down every ball and hitting shots that made the crowd gasp with amazement. Blake and Connor were completely overwhelmed. Nothing they tried worked. When they hit hard, the twins redirected the power back at them. When they tried to be tricky with spin and angles, Maya and Alex read every shot perfectly. The second sets ended 6-1 for Maya and 6-0 for Alex. The matches were over, and the twins had won decisively. The crowd was completely silent for a moment, trying to process what they had just witnessed. Then someone started clapping, and soon everyone was applauding the incredible display of tennis they had just seen. Blake and Connor stood at the net, looking shocked and embarrassed. They had never been beaten so completely in their lives, especially not in front of their parents and friends. Maya and Alex walked to the net with grace and shook hands with their opponents. "Good match," Maya said politely to Blake. "Yeah, good match," Alex said to Connor, but Blake and Connor were too stunned to respond properly. They mumbled something and walked off the court quickly, not wanting to face the crowd's questions. "Coach." Lisa approached the twins with a huge smile on her face. "That," she said, "was some of the best junior tennis I've ever seen at this club." The crowd began to disperse, with people talking excitedly about what they had witnessed. Parents who had never spoken to Maya and Alex before were coming up to congratulate them and ask about their background. But the twins knew that the real challenge was just beginning. They had proven they belonged at the club, but now they had to figure out how to handle their new status and what it would mean for their relationships with other players. The weekend after the matches felt completely different for Maya and Alex. When they walked into the tennis club on Monday morning, everything had changed. People who used to ignore them now waved and smiled. Kids who had never spoken to them before came up to ask questions about their tennis background. Riley ran up to them as soon as they entered the building. "Oh my goodness, you two are famous," she said excitedly. "Everyone at school is talking about Friday's matches. Some people even posted videos online." Maya and Alex looked at each other with surprise. They hadn't realized anyone was recording. "The matches. What kind of videos?" Alex asked. "Your winners, your serves, everything." Riley pulled out her phone to show them. "Look at this one of Maya's cross-court shot. It already has 1,000 views." The twins watched the video and felt strange seeing themselves play. They had been so focused during the matches that they didn't realize how impressive their tennis looked to other people. As they walked toward the courts, they noticed Blake and Connor practicing quietly in a corner. The siblings who used to command attention from everyone were now keeping to themselves. When they saw Maya and Alex approaching, they looked uncomfortable. "Should we go talk to them?" Maya whispered to her brother. "Let's see what happens," Alex replied. Coach Lisa called everyone together for the morning practice session. The atmosphere was different from before. Instead of Blake and Connor being the center of attention, all eyes were on Maya and Alex. "All right, everyone," Coach Lisa announced. "I know we had some exciting matches on Friday, but let's focus on today's training. We have a lot to work on." She divided the group into pairs for practice drills. Maya found herself paired with Tyler, while Alex worked with a boy named Danny who had always been friendly to them. "I can't believe how good you guys are," Tyler said as they started hitting balls. "Why didn't you ever tell anyone?" Maya thought about how to answer. "We wanted people to like us for who we are, not just because we're good at tennis." "That makes sense," Tyler said. Blake and Connor always acted like they were better than everyone else just because they could play. Speaking of Blake and Connor, they were struggling through their own practice session. Without their usual confidence, their tennis looked ordinary. They made mistakes they normally wouldn't make and seemed frustrated with themselves. After practice, something unexpected happened. Blake approached Maya while she was packing up her equipment. "Can I talk to you for a minute?" Blake asked quietly. Maya looked around and saw that most people had already left. Only a few players were still on the courts. Sure, Maya said, curious about what Blake wanted to say. Blake seemed nervous, which was very different from her usual confident attitude. I wanted to apologize, Blake said, looking down at her tennis shoes. For everything. The comments, the attitude, all of it. Maya was surprised. She had expected Blake to make excuses or act angry about losing. I've been thinking all weekend about Friday, Blake continued. I realized that I was being really mean to you and Alex, and the worst part is, I did it because I was scared. Scared? Of what? Maya asked. Scared that you might be better than me? Scared that I wasn't as special as I thought I was? Blake looked up with tears in her eyes. I've been the best player at this club for so long that I didn't know how to handle someone new coming in. Maya felt her anger from the past few weeks start to fade away. She could see that Blake was genuinely sorry. Thank you for apologizing, Maya said. That means a lot. Is there any way we can start over? Blake asked hopefully. I know I don't deserve it, but I'd like to try being friends instead of enemies. Maya thought for a moment. Her first instinct was to stay angry, but she remembered what her parents had always taught her about forgiveness. I'd like that, Maya said, extending her hand. Friends? Blake shook her hand with a relieved smile. Friends? Meanwhile, Connor was having a similar conversation with Alex on the next court. The brothers were both struggling with their pride, but they eventually came to the same conclusion as the girls. I acted like a jerk, Connor admitted to Alex. I thought I was protecting my territory or something, but really, I was just being scared and mean. Alex nodded. We've all made mistakes. What matters is what we do now. The next few weeks brought major changes to the tennis club. Maya and Alex were no longer the quiet new kids trying to fit in. Coach Lisa moved them to the advanced training group and began working with them on tournament preparation. I've been in touch with some college scouts, Coach Lisa told them one afternoon. They're very interested in meeting you two. The twins were excited, but also felt pressure they hadn't experienced before. Everyone expected them to win every match and perform perfectly all the time. Blake and Connor were dealing with their own challenges. They had to accept that they were no longer the top players at the club. Some of their old friends were now more interested in hanging around Maya and Alex. But something positive came out of the situation. Without the pressure of always having to be the best, Blake and Connor started enjoying tennis more. They began working harder on their games and became better teammates. One day, Blake approached Maya with an idea. What if we practiced together sometimes, she suggested. You could help me with my backhand and maybe I could help you with serve strategy. Maya liked the idea. That sounds great. Alex and Connor have been practicing together too. The four of them started training as a group, and their tennis improved dramatically. Blake and Connor learned new techniques from the twins while Maya and Alex picked up some tactical knowledge they hadn't learned before. Their friendship grew stronger through shared practices and competitions. When the club organized a team tournament, the four of them decided to enter as partners. Are you sure about this? Riley asked Maya. I thought you and Alex always played together. We do, Maya explained. But this tournament allows mixed partnerships. I'm playing with Blake and Alex is playing with Connor. The tournament was a big success for all of them. Maya and Blake won their division, combining Maya's consistency with Blake's aggressive style. Alex and Connor also reached the finals, in their category. More importantly, their friendship had become real. They studied together, hung out on weekends, and supported each other through wins and losses. The biggest test came when a regional junior tournament was announced. All four friends were eligible to compete, which meant they might have to play against each other. This is going to be weird, Connor said as they discussed the tournament. We've been practicing together for months, and now we might be opponents. The best player should win, Alex said. That's what competition is about. Maya agreed. We can be friends and still compete hard against each other. Blake nodded. As long as we remember that tennis is just a game, our friendship is more important. The regional tournament brought college scouts, local media, and hundreds of spectators. Maya and Alex were seeded highly based on their previous results, while Blake and Connor were considered dark horses who might surprise people. In the semifinals, Maya found herself playing against Blake. They had practiced together so much that they knew each other's games perfectly. The match was incredibly close, with both players pushing each other to their limits. The crowd loved watching the tactical battle between friends. Maya eventually won in 3 sets, but Blake had never played better tennis in her life. "I'm proud of you," Maya told Blake at the net after the match. "Thanks," Blake replied, breathing hard but smiling. "You brought out the best in me." In the other semifinal, Alex defeated Connor in straight sets, but every game was competitive. Connor had improved so much through their practice sessions that he was able to challenge Alex in ways that surprised everyone. The finals featured Maya against Alex, just like many matches they had played growing up. But this time they were surrounded by hundreds of people and several college scouts taking notes. The match was spectacular. Both twins played at their highest level, showcasing all the skills they had developed over years of training. Maya's consistency and strategy battled against Alex's power and athleticism. In the end, Alex won the tournament. But Maya's performance was equally impressive. Both twins received scholarship offers from multiple colleges. After the award ceremony, the 4 friends sat together sharing pizza and talking about their futures. "Can you believe how much has changed since that first day at the club?" Blake asked. "I was so horrible to you guys," Connor added, shaking his head. "I'm embarrassed thinking about it now." "We all learned something," Maya said. "I learned that hiding who you are doesn't help anyone. And I learned that being good at something doesn't give you the right to treat others badly," Blake said. Alex raised his soda cup. "Here's to friendship and second chances." They all clinked cups together, laughing about how different their lives had become. Months later, as they prepared to graduate high school and head to different colleges, the 4 friends reflected on their journey together. Coach Lisa organized a farewell tournament for them, and many of their old opponents and new friends came to watch. Even some of the adults who had witnessed that first dramatic showdown were in attendance. "You 4 have changed this club," Coach Lisa told them. "You've shown everyone that talent comes in many forms, and that character matters more than trophies." As Maya and Alex packed up their tennis bags for the last time at Riverside Tennis Club, they felt grateful for everything that had happened. They had come to the club hoping to fit in quietly, but instead they had found their voices, their strength, and most importantly, true friendships. Blake and Connor were now confident players and good people who had learned valuable lessons about humility and respect. They would carry these lessons with them to college and beyond. The twins had proven that you should never judge someone by their appearance or background. They had shown that real strength comes from character, not just from winning matches. Most importantly, they had all learned that the best victories in life come not from defeating others, but from becoming better people themselves.